A day in the life of a legend named Larry. I've got coincidences to talk about. Don't be scary. And because I saw an omen, you might think that I'm joking, but I don't really care. It's just something that I noticed. Now, this is how I do this when checking a grip. All these instances are spooky. Please don't trip. 10-9, Law 2 is how my car's license plate used to look. Pockets empty, no job in LA. It was time to book. I traveled overseas, arriving at a new country, hopped off the plane, got handed some house keys, settled down, and got started earning a salary. Come to find out, my birthday is a national holiday. 10-9 on my mind. I was fine, I thought, until I started waking at 10-9 on the dot. Multiple times, then it hit me. These numbers keep coming to visit me. Even when I bought a train or plane ticket, my seat would be in row 10 or 9, respectively. It was even my group number, which I thought was assigned randomly. Cut to the day at Addis Ababa University learning Ethiopian history. I went to the bathroom on the second floor. Yep, you guessed it. 10-9 was written on the door. Even my cousin Anwar told me to connect with Inca spirits in Peru. He said at Machu Picchu, ancestral spirits will greet you. I ascended Montaña Machu Picchu that morning around 8. I took a look around, enjoying the view. It was great. I checked my watch. It read 10:08. I knew then that the spirits were telling me to start my descent. So a minute later, I did, to stay within tradition. While in Havana, Cuba one night, I read about Ernesto Che Guevara de la Serna's life. Imagine the sight when I read that he was captured on the 8th of October and on 10-9 lost his life. In Saudi Arabia, held a cab, and when it came near, the license plate read 10-9, and it had me feeling weird. If anything, I could say this cab was rare. Nah, forget it, yo, home's to Bel Air. Bel Air is over there. I swear, the Bel Air Fire Department is number. I began to think these coincidences are signs. Why else would a man's death coincide on the same week as is celebrated Muhammad's rise? It's also Easter weekend, the resurrection weekend. Coincidences, just coincidences. So 28 days earlier, I remember Ethiopians felt elated. That day, the 123rd anniversary of the Battle of Adwa was celebrated. 21 days earlier, and Ethiopian feelings turned to deflated. That day, Ethiopian airline flight 302 was annihilated. 14 days earlier, I posted a picture of a goat to IG since it disrespected me by stepping on my new blue-laced Nike sneaks. I felt like bugging out from Do the Right Thing. You know, Spike Lee. 7 days earlier, in an IG photo I posted, I wore one sock on my right foot while laying in the tent eating Oreos while reading a book. Yes, these are a lot of mundane details, but well, one day, upon reflection, I tell you that all of these details connected to reveal a vision that became clear. That same day, we received news that we didn't want to hear. You see, it was March 31st for all of y'all who are here in LA, but I was thousands of miles away, okay? Already into the next day, 11 hours ahead. I awoke and checked IG to realize a friend who rarely posts photos had posted a photo to my surprise. I read the caption and I began to cry. That was how I learned that he died. After learning his fate, I still had to drive to work, but I felt homesick. I was thousands of miles away and I wanted to get back to LA really quick. In the desert, the streets were empty except for me and this one truck. And do you know this mofo cut me off? Like, what the? So it was the start of a difficult week, but something told me to be easy. A calmness washed over me when I noticed that that same truck's license plate read 1090. I knew then it was meant for me to see and be in that space at that time precisely. So when 7 days later, I kid you not, an omen appeared in the sky, there were chemtrails up there, but don't ask me why. See, overhead in Oman's former capital, Nizwa, few planes fly overhead, if ever. So the sight of chemtrails above was irregular. It wasn't the lines that had me at a word loss. Rather, it was the sight of the lines forming a cross. All right, so let me try to attempt to surmise. Stranger than fiction. That man's name was God Will Rise. Coincidentally, him and Jesus died at the same age of 33. Now that's a coincidence, and that part, that seems eerie. Now, Oman borders Yemen, which is home to an ancient biblical kingdom from which his last name traces back to Punt and Aksum. Oman, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, specifically Ethiopia and Eritrea, Habesha, once ruled by Queen of Sheba. Moses, seeing the burning bush, led to him beginning the exodus of Israelites out of Egypt and into Canaan. Y'all, 10:9 has me feeling ancient. But y'all will think I'm crazy if I tell you to leave LA, board planes, and relocate to Shashemane, Kumasi, or Mekele. But that's okay because I'm confident in what I say. Islam, Judaism, and Christianity aren't so different. I mean, come on. These religions were birthed from Abraham. Are you aware that Jesus is mentioned more than Muhammad in the Quran? Professor John Henrik Clarke sparked my thoughts on religiosity. He suggested putting religion down to increase spirituality.
I'm saying that African belief systems, properly understood, is 10 times better than Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And better for the African. Now you might have some romance with one of these religions. I have no romance with any of them. I have a romance with reality and truth. And the chips can fall where they may after I tell it.
And like Rastafarians believe that Haile Selassie was Yahshua ben Yosef's reincarnation, I believe that that man was a deity trapped in human form. Of course, you might think I'm probably just famished, searching for meaning because I'm lost. But I'll be damned if anybody tells me that that man wasn't a boss. I mean, he actually demonstrated what to do, helped his people, and mastered knowledge of self. It's evident in his philosophy about gaining wealth. My colleague Rochelle said she didn't want to hear me talk about 10-9 anymore. She said 10 and 9 are everywhere. And then I began to believe her, especially when I went to Japan's Apple store, because there every device was set to the same score, 1009. However, when the first friend you make after the first international trip you take shares the same birthday, well, these 10-9 coincidences, they'll make you wonder anyway. Plus, 1 week after posting that picture to IG, I saw that video of the firemen carrying him out on a gurney. Surprised to say the least when I noticed that he was wearing one sock on his left foot. It forced me to harken back to that picture I took where 7 days before his body went limp, I was wearing one sock on my right foot, eating Oreos in my tent.